You were the rebel who overturned Newton. Uh, but now, you are the establishment that young physicists are trying to overturn. So I have to ask, do you hope there is a young clerk out there right now, just like you were, who is actually proving you wrong?
You speak of overturning, as if science were some kind of a violent revolution. Like a coup, where the king must be beheaded just so the new leader can take the throne. But no, that is not how it works. I did not destroy Isaac Newton. I climbed onto his shoulders. Without his laws of motion, I could never have seen the horizon of relativity. You must understand, if I am right forever, then the human adventure, it has ended, and that would be a terrible tragedy. I have reached a ledge, perhaps, one that is higher than the one before, but I am certainly not at the summit. Not yet. Right now, the establishment of young physicists, the brilliant ones like Bohr and Heisenberg, they believe they have found the answer in quantum mechanics. They tell us the world is made of chance, of rolling dice, of probabilities. They say that at the bottom of everything, reality is fuzzy. And they look at me with pity, because I still believe in cause and effect, in a universe that sings a coherent song. So I am actually praying for a rebel, but perhaps not the one you imagine. I hope there is a young person out there, perhaps working in a library or a post office, who looks at the current truth of quantum theory and feels that same itch. The itch I felt about the ether. Someone who says, no, Professor Einstein is right to be stubborn, but he is wrong in his method. I do not want to be remembered as a king who ruled over physics. No. I want to be remembered as a stepping stone. So my only advice to this young clerk is, do not be intimidated by the name Einstein. I was not intimidated by Newton. And Newton, well, he was a far greater man than I was.
You know, it's funny. You did your most revolutionary work while working as a clerk in a patent office. I mean, it really makes me wonder, did the boredom of that job actually help you dream?
I don't understand why you think a quiet life has to be boring. It is true, yes, that I was not at a university, and for that, I am eternally grateful. In the academy, a young person is constantly forced to produce, to churn out scientific papers. It is a pressure. But at the patent office, no one expected me to explore the universe. They only expected me to look at the patent papers. But when you spend all day examining patents for synchronizing clocks over long distances, it is not such a far leap to start wondering what time actually means. I could ask the simple questions, the ones that experts had stopped asking because the questions were deemed childish. What would it be like to ride alongside a beam of light? What does it really mean to say two events happen at the same time? These questions, they had bothered me since I was 16 years old. And finally, I could pursue them. The other thing, and this is important, was that my job ended at a fixed hour. I could finish my duties in a few hours if I worked efficiently. The rest of the day, my mind was my own. And I had friends. Besso, Habich, Solovine. Michele Besso, who worked with me at the patent office, he was my sounding board. The day before I finally solved the special relativity problem, It was a conversation with him that broke the logjam in my thinking. So, was it the boredom? No. No, it was the independence. And perhaps it was being an outsider. When you are outside the establishment, you simply don't know which questions you are not supposed to ask. I sometimes wonder if I could have done that work as a young professor.
Yet only a few years later you became a very famous man and joined the very academy you criticized.
Well, yes, you have caught me. It appears to be a contradiction. As you say, the catastrophe of fame occurred. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know what I ate for breakfast, or what I thought of politics. I became a kind of monument while I was still alive, it is a very uncomfortable position for a human being. When I was sitting at my desk, I was feeling the weight of eyes upon me. Not literally, of course, I am not so dramatic, but there is a difference between thinking freely and thinking while the world waits for you to produce something worthy of Einstein. I once calculated a professor spends perhaps 20% of his time on actual thinking. But I will tell you a secret. The world can watch you, but it cannot see inside your head. When I sit down to work, the photographers, the newspapers, on the expectations of the academy, poof, they all vanish. In fact, I would argue that I became more stubborn in my childishness the older I got. Look at the last 30 years of my life. I have spent them trying to find a unified field theory, a way to wrap the whole universe into one beautiful theory. Most of my colleagues in the academy, they think I am an old fool. They say, Einstein is obsolete. He does not accept the new quantum mechanics. He is chasing ghosts. And perhaps most importantly, it requires remembering that the universe does not read newspapers. It does not care that you are Einstein. It will reveal its secrets only to those who approach with genuine curiosity. So, the question is not whether fame makes thinking harder. Of course it does. The question is whether you will fight to preserve that precious space for wonder despite the fame.
So, looking at your life, you're a known pacifist, but you signed that letter to President Roosevelt, but it kick-started the Manhattan Project, the atomic bomb. So I have to ask, how do you carry the weight of that contradiction?